What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we are going to be having a little tour around a fancy goldfish farm. So make sure you stay tuned to find out more. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. As always, check out our links in the description. Make sure to check out our sponsors, Jimmy Goldfish USA and Star Fisheries. As I said, today we're going to be having a look around a goldfish farm, having a look at the setup, the layout, and how these fish are actually bred and produced in Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, etc. So I'm going to get the video on the screen as usual, and I'm going to do my narration over the top. If you do have any questions throughout the video, leave a little comment down below and I'll do my best to answer those for you. So without further ado, let's check out this amazing fish farm and see some awesome goldfish. So first up, we can see these large concrete ponds. Now they use these concrete ponds as they are really cheap and easy to build. You will notice that they have a central overflow pipe, and there's likely another pipe that goes into these ponds, adding constant fresh water. Now these look like they potentially could be the brood stock of the farm, or sometimes they use these ponds to grow fish out. They are really shallow and really long and wide, as this helps with oxygen saturation, helps for oxygen to gas into the water and CO2 to gas out. Also, it helps maintain the temperature stability if you have larger volumes of water, as hopefully you would already know. And also it helps to heat those ponds up, keep them really nice and warm, so those fish can really grow at a quick rate. As you'll notice with this farm, there are many concrete ponds, and we'll also notice that generally between the ponds there is normally some PVC piping. Here we've got some blue PVC piping, and this is where they help to transport the water all around the farm. So these pipes down the centre will help add fresh water to the ponds. Installing these makes life a lot easier, makes maintenance much easier, because you can just turn valves on and off to empty the ponds and then refill them really quickly. Now you'll notice next we are looking slightly away from the fish, and we are looking at potentially something that you may not see commonly, but this is actually live food cultures. Now in the Asian countries, and the different breeders use different live foods to feed their goldfish, because live foods generally can be a lot cheaper in these countries, and they are a lot easier to produce than buying in expensive pellets or expensive dry foods. So I believe we have large quantities of Daphnia, and what they're doing is they have already harvested them, or they've collected them into these big vessels, into this big IBC tank, and then they are siphoning it off into these mesh bags or muslin sort of bags, where they can strain all of the water away and just have the pure Daphnia left. Now they also use other live foods like tube effects, but these foods are packed with protein, and these are really good at growing young fish very quickly, getting them up to a sellable size and growing them at a fast rate, so the breeder or the reseller can get as much money for them as possible. Now, as I said, the live foods are really cheap and easy to produce. Often Daphnia can be produced in just a still lentic body of water, just an enclosed system. They just need lots of algae, and with the hot weather and blazing sun, this will cause the ponds to go green, and the Daphnia absolutely love that. Then they can catch them out with really fine nets, and they're perfect to feed to their young fish. They're great for conditioning adult fish or parent fish into their breeding season, and you'll notice here they are obviously divvying it out, dishing some out to different people so they can get their live food to feed out to all of their fish. But I really like the use of live foods. Live foods are really good, not only for enrichment and high quality diet, but they're also easy for the fish to digest in comparison to ready-made, man-made foods and pellets, dry pellets for example. And not only are they really nutritious, but they also provide a little bit of enrichment. The fish have to chase after them, and it provides some sort of slightly different activity than you'd see when a fish is just scavenging for some pellets. So it looks like now this breeder or this seller has got his selection of Daphnia. He is going to wash them or rinse them in some fresh water, and then hopefully he is going to be feeding them to all of his fish across the farm. Now the good thing is, obviously this Daphnia is a freshwater organism, which means it can survive in your systems if it hasn't been eaten by your greedy fish. So that is another reason why I really like to use Daphnia, because you can add it to your tank. Unlike brine shrimp, which will die in the non-saline water, the Daphnia can go into the tank, and if nothing eats them, they will be absolutely fine in the tank or pond, swimming about and just eating any algae they can find before they get eaten. Now here you can see the huge tub full of Daphnia. This is absolutely teeming with Daphnia, and I believe tubifex worms look very similar to this. But you can see now the breeder has got a super fine net. He's straining off these Daphnia, and then he's just chucking loads of it into these systems. Now this should feed the goldfish for many hours. There will be so much Daphnia in the water, they'll all spread out and the goldfish can chase them round. Really good exercise, good movement for the fish, and obviously a really good diet as well. And you can also enrich the Daphnia with different types of algae, but generally they don't really do that. They just harvest them from large bodies of water where they've just been eating really nutritious green algae, which is great to add the fibre into the diet. So we can see the breeder now really easily just chucking loads of this Daphnia into all of these different ponds ready for the fish to consume, and you'll see this is a huge amount of Daphnia. I've never seen so much Daphnia in one place. I did actually culture it myself once and I really enjoyed it. It was really simple, really easy to do, no electricity, just had a tank outside with some green water in, and they absolutely populated it, just constantly harvesting it, siphoning it off and feeding it to the fish. Constant supply of food, really cheap, easy, and there's really nothing to it. As you can see, the fish are going to be really enjoying this live food. They're swarming around the Daphnia cultures and absolutely going mental on them. We'll see that these ponds are lightly stocked because they don't have any sort of filtration, and generally in Europe or the Western world we have lots of filtration, and filtration is banged into us. Everyone says you need loads and loads of filtration, but this is the original way that they keep the goldfish, and this is the way that goldfish started. Lots of big water change, low stocking densities, really good food, and the results speak for themselves. These fish are absolutely beautiful, really strong, healthy fish, really well conditioned with these live foods. And you can see now they are finishing up their Daphnia, and that big cloud, that big pink cloud of the live Daphnia is disappearing, and the fish are finally getting their way through it. Looks like here we're adding a bit of fresh water to the ponds. Often they will have a trickle in, trickle out, which if you can have that on your system is absolutely great at reducing nitrates, phosphates, nutrients, pheromones, anything in the water that the fish produce, and keeping them nice, happy and healthy, and it will also help to increase their growth rates. Now often, instead of using bags, many breeders will transport fish in these white porcelain bowls. Now generally in the koi industry they use blue bowls to show up the colours, but in the goldfish industry generally white is the sort of bowl colour used for videoing and photographing fish. Now obviously this breeder is sorting through these fish, placing them into different ponds. Maybe the fish are different grades, different prices, or he wants to produce different spawnings, getting different quality traits from the different types of fish, or maybe the different lines of Aranda that we can see here. But you'll see there's lots of fish in this bowl, really nice black Aranda, I believe they are. Yep, look like Aranda, and there's some red or orange ones in there as well. Really nice quality fish, and towards the end of this video, we're actually going to be looking at another farm, seeing how they farm their fish in mud ponds, and then having a close look at some of the fish that have come out of the mud ponds and really looking at their conditions. Now, keeping the stocking densities light means that there is minimal damage to the fish. They're not going to be fighting and hitting into each other, and there's not going to be any breeding if they can keep them in single sex ponds as well. Here we've got a stunning Apache Aranda, and you can really see that those Daphnia have really been conditioning this fish, giving it a really nice fat belly, and overall really happy. And this will be great to induce large parent fish into spawning. If you're feeding them lots of live food throughout the day, they will be in breeding condition in no time, have lots of eggs, be highly fecund, and just produce really good goldfish fry. So if you ever want to induce your fish into spawning, then potentially feeding some live fish would be good. Now you can see here is a mud pond. Now these are absolutely brilliant at growing fish, and arguably this is the best way to grow fish. You can see they've been harvested in a seine net, then they will be transferred into some cleaner water where they can either be sold or grown on over winter, and then they can be put out into the mud ponds, just like the koi industry as well. Now, because these mud ponds have really high mineral content, they have a huge surface area, they have really stable water conditions, they grow the fish like crazy. These fish are then sorted into these different floating containers, depicting whether they are large, small, A grade, B grade, etc., different grades and different sizes. But you can see that now that they have taken the fish out of the mud ponds, we can really get a close look at them and just look at the quality, the skin quality, the colours, everything about the fish just improves in a mud pond situation and a mud pond environment. We can see on this panda / tricolour oranda, the deep sumis are so strong and the white skin is absolutely beautiful. The mud ponds are really good in providing mineral content to the fish and providing really nice skin quality. Because the mud has so many minerals and elements, many people use face masks, use sort of mud packs on their face to make sure their skin is looking absolutely great, and the same applies to these goldfish. There is so much good quality nutrients in the mud ponds. There are so many live foods as well. The fish can constantly graze, scavenge, and they can eat any vegetation, live foods, etc. They've got a huge amount of surface area to swim around. They've got so much area, lots of food, lots of good water quality, and you can see the results are absolutely beautiful. And these are some real high quality fish. You can see the real high dorsal fin on this oranda and the absolutely beautiful orchid or rose tail. I believe they're more of an orchid tail oranda. But now we are coming to the end of this video. Hopefully it's been interesting to see and hear the comparisons between the concrete ponds and the mud ponds and the different ways you could do it. Obviously, where potentially in the UK where space is a little bit more limited, generally people would be going around the concrete pond route. But if you do have a large property or a large area, digging out mud ponds, making sure they're safe and suitable for fancy goldfish, nice and shallow, could definitely be the way forward, and you'd really get amazing growth on your fish. And it is just awesome taking them out of that dark, murky water and seeing what those mud ponds have produced. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you really like to see the layout of the farm from that mud pond area all the way up to the concrete ponds and how the fish are kept in baskets, etc. So as I said, if you do have any comments, leave those down below. Also, please subscribe and also check out our brand new Facebook page where we are posting all of our content, all of our updates, giveaways, news, etc. Check that out, the link is down below. So thank you all for watching. As always, remember to keep those water changes up and happy fish keeping.